Welcome back, everyone. We're about to take a fascinating trip back in time today.
Oh, I love time travel. Where are we headed?
We're diving deep into the world of traditional oil production, but way traditional. Think bull-powered oil
No,
extraction.
you mean like giant mortar and pestle situations
Yeah.
with an actual bowl?
Yeah. You know those setups you see where a bull walks in a circle to crush the seeds? It's still practiced in some parts of the world, and we're going to find out why this ancient method is making a comeback and how it stacks up against the more modern ways of doing things like cold pressing and refining.
I've always wondered about those different methods. Like, what's the big deal about how the oil is extracted?
Well, that's what we're here to find out.
Wow.
So imagine this. You've got this massive wooden mortar and pestle, usually made from a really strong type of tree called a vague tree.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
And then you harness a bolt to this thing, and it just slowly walks around, rotating the pestle.
Gotcha. So it's all about that slow, deliberate
Yeah.
crushing action, huh?
Exactly. We're talking about 1 to 3 rotations per minute max.
Wow, that's a far cry from the high-speed machines they use these days, right?
Right. And that's the key difference. Modern methods use a ton of heat and pressure to extract oil quickly, but all that can actually damage the good stuff in the oil.
Like the nutrients and stuff.
Yeah, the delicate nutrients and flavor compounds. But with this bull-driven method, it's all about slow and gentle extraction. Very little heat is generated, so you end up with an oil that's closer to its natural state, full of all the good stuff.
Makes sense. It's
Yeah.
like the difference between slow cooking something versus blasting it in the microwave.
You got it. It's all about preserving the quality and integrity of the oil. So we know bull-driven is all about low and slow, but how does it compare to those other methods like cold-pressed and refined?
Okay, so picture it like a spectrum. You've got bull-driven on one end, super minimal processing, low heat, maximum nutrient retention.
The purest of the pure.
Exactly. Then in the middle, you've got cold-pressed. Still pretty gentle, uses some pressure, but keeps the temperatures lower than refining.
So kind of a middle ground.
Yep. It's like finding that sweet spot between tradition and modern efficiency. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you've got your refined oils.
And those are all about speed and efficiency, right?
Exactly. Refined oils are produced on a massive scale to keep costs down, but you sacrifice some of that natural goodness in the process.
So if I'm looking for the most nutrient-packed oil, bull-driven seems like the way to go.
It definitely seems that way. But there's still a lot of research to be done to confirm just how much more nutritious bull-driven oils are compared to the others. But if we just look at the process itself, it makes sense that they retain more of the good stuff.
That makes sense. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, or maybe we should say the bull in the oil press. The cost. I've heard bull-driven oils can be pretty pricey.
That's true. There's a good reason for that higher price tag. It all comes down to the process. Remember how we talked about how slow and labor-intensive it is? Well, just to give you an idea, it can take 3 to 4 hours to extract oil from just 10 to 15 kilograms of raw material.
Wow, that's a lot of time and effort.
And that's not all. The quality of the raw materials also plays a big role.
You mean the seeds and nuts they use?
Yep. Producers who make these oils are really picky about where they source their ingredients. They often work with smaller organic farms that prioritize quality. So you're not just paying for the oil, you're paying for the care and attention that goes into every step from the farm to the bottle.
It sounds like a true labor of love. It's more than just oil. It's an investment in quality, tradition, and supporting those smaller farms.
Exactly. It's about appreciating the whole story behind the product.
You mentioned sourcing. I've heard that's a big deal when it comes to bull-driven oils. What should we be looking for?
Transparency is key. Look for oils that are certified organic and do some research on the producers themselves. Look for companies that are open about their practices and prioritize sustainable and ethical sourcing.
Do you have any recommendations for producers who are doing things right?
One that comes to mind is Organic Sphere. They're committed to using traditional methods and sourcing their ingredients responsibly.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of them. They have a website, right?
Yeah, it's organicsphere.com. They also have separate portals for India and Canada too to make it easier to find what you're looking for.
Perfect. We'll be sure to include those links in the show notes so everyone can check them out. So, say I want to give these bull-driven oils a try. What's your advice?
Don't be afraid to experiment. There are so many different types of oils out there, each with its own unique flavor profile and potential health benefits.
So it's like building a diverse oil portfolio.
I like that. It's about finding what you enjoy and what works best for your cooking.
Okay, I'm sold. I'm ready to dive into the world of bull-driven oils, but before I go on an oil buying spree, I need to know how to store these precious liquids. What's the best way to keep them fresh and flavorful?
Storage is key. First rule, ditch the plastic.
Really? Why is that?
Plastic can actually react with the oil and mess with the quality. Stick to steel, amber-colored glass bottles, or even ceramic jars.
So, clear glass is a no-no, I'm guessing?
You got it. Clear glass lets light in, and that can degrade the oil over time. And speaking of keeping things dark, store your oils in a cool, dark, dry place. Heat and sunlight are the enemy.
Gotcha. So basically, treat them like vampires, no sunlight allowed. Anything else?
Always use clean utensils to avoid contamination. And remember, even with perfect storage, these oils are best enjoyed within 6 months of opening. So buy smaller quantities more frequently to ensure you're always using fresh oil.
This has been such a great crash course. I feel like I'm already learning so much about this whole world of traditional
It's
oils.
fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
This ancient practice is experiencing a revival for a reason.
It seems like people are starting to realize that the way food is produced really does matter, and sometimes those older methods are worth revisiting. What stood out to you the most so far?
Honestly, I'm blown away by the sheer amount of care and attention that goes into producing these oils. It's worlds apart from the mass-produced stuff you usually see in stores. It's making me rethink how I approach oil in the kitchen. Exactly. It's about appreciating the craftsmanship and the connection to tradition.
Speaking of tradition, we touched on coconut and sesame oil earlier, but there are so many other types of bowl-driven oils out there. What else should we be exploring?
Oh, there's a whole world of oils waiting to be discovered. Each one has its own unique story and its own set of potential benefits.
Well, let's dive into that world then. I'm ready to expand my oil horizons.
Let's talk peanut oil, or groundnut oil, as it's sometimes called.
Okay, peanut oil. I feel like that's one I actually use sometimes, especially for frying.
Yeah, it's a good all-around oil. It's a decent source of vitamin E, and it's got those omega-6 fatty acids.
Right, those are supposed to be good for your heart, right?
Yeah, heart health, blood sugar regulation, all that good stuff.
Nice. So, peanut oil, check. What else is on our list of oil adventures today?
Well, we already touched on sesame oil a bit, but it's worth diving a little deeper.
Yeah, tell me more about sesame oil. It's got such a distinct flavor.
Right. It's been used in traditional medicine for centuries, and it's a powerhouse of antioxidants.
Oh, wow. So it's not just about the taste.
Nope. Some studies even suggest that it could help reduce inflammation and promote heart health.
Wow, sesame oil is really stepping up its game. Now, for those of us who are trying to get more of those plant-based omega-3s, what would you recommend?
Flaxseed oil is your best bet. It's packed with omega-3s, which are so important for brain and heart health.
Okay, flaxseed oil. I've definitely heard of that one.
It's got this lovely nutty flavor that's perfect for salad dressings.
Oh, that sounds good. Are there any downsides to using flaxseed oil?
Just one thing to keep in mind, it's got a pretty low smoke point, so it's not the best choice for high heat cooking.
Gotcha. So flaxseed oil salads, dressings, cold dishes. Noted. Now, I'm curious about oils for like skin and hair. Any recommendations in that department?
Oh yeah, castor oil's been a beauty staple forever.
Castor oil.
hmm It's often used for hair and body treatments. Some people even swear by it for promoting hair growth.
Interesting. I'll have to look into that. Any other oils we haven't covered yet?
We can't forget about mustard oil.
Oh, yeah, mustard oil. I feel like I mostly associate that with Indian food.
It's definitely a staple in Indian cuisine. It's got this distinct, pungent flavor.
Yeah, it's pretty strong.
It is. But it's also rich in antioxidants and might have some benefits for skin, joint health, and digestion. It's traditionally used in pickling, too.
Ah, so that's where the pickling connection comes in. I'm starting to see a theme here. A lot of these oils have multiple uses.
Right. It's like each oil has its own unique personality and talents. It's amazing how nature provides us with so much variety.
You mentioned earlier that certain oils might be better suited for specific health concerns. What's the deal with that?
That's where things get a little tricky.
Oh, how so?
There's still a lot of research to be done in that area. We can't definitively say that any particular oil can cure anything.
Right, it's important to be realistic.
Exactly. But there is growing evidence that some oils might offer benefits for various conditions.
hmm
Like black seed oil, for example, is being studied for its potential effects on mental health, heart health, and sleep.
Wow, black seed oil, that's a new one for me. Sounds like it's got a lot of potential.
It does, but as with anything health-related, It's crucial to be cautious and consult with a healthcare professional before using any oil for medicinal purposes.
That's a great reminder. These are foods, first and foremost, not magic bullets.
Exactly. It's about taking a balanced and informed approach.
Speaking of balance, you talked about seasonal oil rotation earlier. Can you break that down for me? What does that actually look like in practice?
It's all about tuning into the rhythms of nature and choosing oils that complement the seasons.
I love that idea. So, like, what would be a good example of a seasonal oil swap?
So in warmer months, when things are heating up, Ayurveda suggests using cooling oils like coconut oil. It's thought to help balance out the excess heat in the body. And then, as the weather cools down in the fall and winter, you'd switch to warming oils like sesame and mustard oil to bring in some grounding and warmth.
It's like creating a whole culinary symphony that's in tune with nature.
That's a great way to put it.
Uh-uh.
It's about aligning our diets with the natural world around us.
I'm all about that. But I'm also a practical person, so I have to ask, what's the practical side of this seasonal rotation thing?
Well, different oils have different smoke points, which is the temperature at which they start to break down.
Right, right. We talked about that with flaxseed oil earlier.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in those hotter months when you're more likely to be grilling and using high heat, you'd want to reach for oils with higher smoke points like coconut oil. Then when it cools down and you're doing more slow cooking and baking, you can use oils with lower smoke points like olive oil.
So it's not just about the perceived warming or cooling properties of the oils, it's also about matching the oil to the cooking method.
Exactly. It's about being mindful of all those factors.
I'm really digging this whole idea of oil rotation. It seems like a great way to ensure we're getting a good variety of nutrients and health benefits.
Absolutely. Variety is key when it comes to a healthy diet, and oils are no exception.
Think of it as building your oil rainbow, a beautiful spectrum of flavors and nutrients.
I love that. You know, this whole conversation has really made me realize how much I take oil for granted. I used to just grab whatever was cheapest at the store without thinking much about where it came from or how it was made.
I'm right there with you. This deep dive is a total eye-opener.
It's easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle and not think about these things, but once you start to learn about it, it's hard to go back.
I'm feeling inspired, but also a little overwhelmed. Where do I even begin with all this?
It's all about small steps. Start by picking one or two new oils to try out. Maybe swap your regular cooking oil for coconut oil, or experiment with sesame oil in a stir fry. Just start exploring.
Small steps, got it. Any other tips for incorporating these oils into everyday life?
Let's talk about coconut oil first. It's a great all-around oil, especially for high-heat cooking. You can use it for pretty much anything sautéing, stir-frying, roasting.
I love roasted veggies. What about sesame oil? How do you use that one?
Sesame oil is your go-to for Asian-inspired dishes. It's great in stir-fries, noodles, marinades, you name it. You can even add a touch to soups and stews for an extra layer of flavor.
It's so versatile, and that nutty flavor is amazing. Now, what about mustard oil? You mentioned it was a staple in Indian cooking.
Yeah, mustard oil is often used for tempering lentils and vegetables. It has a really unique depth of flavor that's hard to replicate.
I'm intrigued. So many flavors to explore.
All right, and if you're not into cooking with it, you could even enjoy some oils in their raw form.
Raw, like just straight up.
Some people like to start their day with a teaspoon of oil on an empty stomach.
Whoa, really? What's the benefit of doing that?
It's thought to aid digestion, lubricate the joints, and boost overall health.
Huh, interesting. Which oils are good for that?
Coconut oil is a popular choice because of its antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory properties. Sesame oil is another good one because it's believed to help detoxify the body. And flaxseed oil, with all those omega-3s, is great for heart and brain health.
So it doesn't have to be complicated. Just swap out your usual oil or add a teaspoon to your morning routine. I'm realizing that there are so many ways to incorporate these oils into my life. This has been such an amazing journey so far. We've talked about the history, the science, the cultural significance, and now even the practical applications. But there's one last thing I want to touch on, the environmental impact.
Oh, that's a big one.
Right. We live in a world where mass production and industrial agriculture have really taken a toll on our planet. So it's really refreshing to see that a traditional method like bull-driven oil extraction actually offers a more sustainable and eco-friendly alternative.
It does. Think about it. It's a small-scale, localized process by nature. No huge factories, no complex machinery, no harsh chemicals that pollute the environment. It's gentler on the oil and gentler on the planet.
I love that. It's proof that we can produce high-quality food without destroying our environment.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance.
And it's not just about the environment, right? There's a social impact to consider, too.
You got it. When we support traditional methods like this, we're also supporting local communities and helping to preserve their cultural heritage.
It's about creating a food system that's better for everyone, from the farmers to the consumers to the planet itself.
Well said. It's about understanding that our choices have ripple effects.
I love that image of ripple effects. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by all the problems in the world, but this conversation has reminded me that even small choices can make a difference.
I agree. Every time we choose to buy something that's produced in a more mindful way, we're taking a step in the right direction.
This has been such an eye-opening experience. I feel like I've learned so much.
It's been a pleasure exploring this with you.
Before we wrap things up, let's recap some of the key takeaways for our listeners.
Great idea.
So first off, we learned that the method of oil extraction matters. Bull-driven extraction is all about preserving those natural flavors, nutrients, and antioxidants.
We also talked about the importance of variety and rotating oils based on the seasons, embracing that diversity to benefit our health and connect with the rhythms of nature.
And we dove into the practical side of things, how to choose, store, and use bull-driven oils in our everyday lives.
And let's not forget the environmental and social impact of our choices. Supporting traditional methods like bull-driven extraction can have a positive ripple effect on our communities and the planet.
This has been an amazing journey, but before we say goodbye, I want to leave our listeners with a thought to ponder.
I'm listening.
If something as seemingly simple as a bottle of oil can hold so much history, so much wisdom, and so much potential for positive change, what other everyday choices are we overlooking? What other seemingly small decisions could we be making that have a bigger impact on our health, our communities, and our planet? It's a lot to think about.
It really is. It's an invitation to be more curious, to ask more questions, and to dig a little deeper into the stories behind the things we consume.
This deep dive has been a reminder that even the most ordinary things can hold extraordinary lessons if we're open to learning.
I couldn't agree more.
Thank you so much for joining us on this adventure, and a huge thank you to our expert for sharing their incredible knowledge with us.
It's been my pleasure. I always love talking about this stuff.
For anyone listening who's now like, okay, I'm ready to try these oils, where should they start?
Organic Sphere is a fantastic place to begin.
They were the ones you mentioned earlier, right? The ones who are really committed to the whole traditional process.
Exactly. They've got a great selection of high-quality oils.
And their website is super informative, right?
It is. You can find them at organicsphere.com, or they've got those specific portals for India and Canada, too.
Right. What were those again?
Organicsphere.in for India, and organicsphere.ca for Canada.
Perfect. That way, no matter where you are, you can get your hands on some of these amazing oils.
And you're supporting a company that's really walking the walk when it comes to quality and tradition.
It's like a win-win-win. You get amazing oil, you support a great company, and you're potentially even boosting your health. This whole deep dive has really been a game changer for me.
What's been the biggest takeaway for you?
I think it's just realizing how much power we have as consumers. Like, even something as simple as choosing a different type of oil can have such a ripple effect. It's not just about me and my health. It's about the environment, the farmers, the whole interconnected system.
It's powerful stuff. Our choices, even those that seem small, really can make a difference.
It's inspiring. It's like, yeah, the world has problems, but we're not powerless. We can vote with our dollars and support the kind of future we want to see.
Exactly. Every purchase we make is a statement about the values we want to uphold.
I'm walking away from this conversation feeling so energized and ready to keep learning and exploring.
That's wonderful. Knowledge is contagious. The more we learn and share with each other, the more we can collectively shift things in a positive direction.
So to everyone listening out there, we encourage you to take that leap and dive into the world of bull-driven oils. Experiment, discover new flavors, and experience the richness and depth that these ancient treasures have to offer.
And as you embark on your culinary adventures, remember to savor each bite and each drop, knowing that you're not just nourishing your body, you're contributing to a more sustainable and just world.
It's amazing how something as simple as food can be such a powerful force for good.
It really is.
Until next time, everyone, keep those minds curious, those taste buds adventurous, and those hearts open to the wonders that await.
Happy exploring.
And that's a wrap on another deep dive. Thanks for joining us.